Once you've decided on the idea for your artwork, you will begin creating some of the imagery using Sumi ink. Start with a pencil sketch that you make from your reference image, and then choose one or more of the Sumi ink drawing techniques to finish the sketch. Use whichever technique you like the best, or the one you think will create the best effect you want for your art. Don't be afraid to combine techniques too. Try to create some dimensionality and to get a rich range of values. Study your reference images to find areas of light and dark and midtones in between. Really spend some time on this part, since this is the component that's probably most important to your artwork and your central idea. My artwork idea is a commentary on gender inequality, specifically on the double standard I see women contending with. So the living subject I chose is a stereotypical 50s housewife. She's looking beautiful and chipper and meeting all the beauty standards for the time. I chose a value wash technique here because I wanted her to look realistic and dimensional, and I'll contrast that with blocky text and abstract designs later on. Next, you need to begin creating a variety of other elements. Select different kinds of paper and materials to do this. You can even find and bring materials from home if you want. I chose some contrasting toned brown paper, and I'm creating a floral motif because I felt like that fit with the feminine theme I'm trying to get across. I really want you to play around with materials and try things you haven't thought of before. Here, I cut off a length of string and submerged it in Sumi ink. Then, as you can see, I dragged it across my paper to get some interesting strokes and lines. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Just mess around and have fun. The more that you make, the better. You'll want to cut out a lot of what you make. Here, I'm using scissors to cut out my floral motif after it's dry, and I will probably use an X-Acto knife to get even more detail cut out later. I even had a spare piece of watercolor paper, so I just messed around with ink and water. I created a bunch of different effects, and then, as you can see, I cut out around and between them. Think about negative spaces too. Make diverse and interesting shapes. Start with scissors and then use the X-Acto to get more precise and detailed spaces. You will also probably cut out your ink drawing. I recommend starting with scissors to get the general shape and then use the X-Acto to get the more precise edges and details. The watercolor paper is really thick, so really be careful while you're cutting. After I cut my subject out, I used it to figure out the size and shape of another element I made, which I'm making here out of a ripped out book page. I really liked how it said inanimate objects at the top, because I feel like that sort of fits with my theme about women being objectified. And then I'm just adding some additional details to the sketch using Sumi ink. I also made some text on tracing paper. And here I'm cutting it out, cutting out the letters. Make sure you use a cutting mat and a metal ruler to get straight edges as you need. Finally, once you've made your drawings and made or collected all of your other elements, get them all together. It's helpful to spread out to do this. On the floor in the hallway is actually a great spot. Try out different backgrounds. You might try black tagboard, white tagboard, even cardboard, and then try laying out your different elements together. You might use all of it, or you might only use a few pieces. There's no right or wrong, but you've got to try a bunch of options. Once you land on a composition that you like, take a photo of it on your phone. At this stage, you might find that some pieces are too big, and so you can always cut them up. Here, I cut up my Sumi Nagashi into strips. I broke my floral motif into 2 sections too. Don't stop rearranging until you've made and photographed at least 6 different compositions. When you find the most interesting one, you'll glue everything together.